Welcome back, Conoculture viewers. Thanks for tuning in to our market update. Today we have Tim Bolton from our listing team here. We have Madeline Flaxey from our buyer representation team, and I am Mitch Taylor from our buyer representation team as well. Today we're going to go over 4 of the most popular, burning, common questions that we've been asked over the last week. So Maddie and Tim, we get asked, if I have a condo, if I have a house, if I'm looking to sell that, why should I work with a real estate brokerage such as Conoculture versus privately listing on Kijiji or some other means of a private marketing media?
Listing privately is always available as an option. I would say that it really depends on the person's personality and their dedication to the sale of their house. Keep in mind that what we do is real estate all the time. So our whole goal is to get you the most amount of money possible. Obviously, you also want to get the most amount of money possible, but you don't necessarily have all of the resources that we have at our fingertips, as well as the market knowledge. Another thing to keep in mind that I really feel is where real estate agents, especially if you have a trust and a wonderful relationship with them, where they really shine is in the negotiations. And if you are somebody who's negotiating directly with the potential buyer of your property, that's going to be a very difficult scenario for you to be in. Buying and selling a house is extremely emotional, and unless you are someone who can completely separate yourself from what's happening and look at it as a business transaction, I would caution you against getting heated during those times of negotiation. The other thing too is even after a number has been decided on, there are still other steps that need to happen. And if you hire a real estate agent, you're going to have someone to be next to you during every step of the process, all the way to closing and after. In my experience, buyers are not naive. They realize how you've listed your property, and they are often going to come in at a price where they have deducted the amount of money that they think you've already saved. Unfortunately, it is a way of our times with everything being available online that you may have one extra kind of knock against you. Can I add one more thing? Yeah. If you list with, not to name any specific brokerages that help the for sale by owners, but we have individual boards. So all of our clients have access to information, back-end information from us as agents that we're working with. A lot of the for sale by owner companies often only list on the Toronto Real Estate Board. This can actually really hurt your listing because it impacts how clients are able to find your property. Yes, they'll be able to see it on realtor.ca, but if they are, for example, working with a buying agent and are using that buying agent's portal to find all of their listings, they won't even see your listing. And it makes it difficult for agents as myself. I mean, I'm always happy and to show any for sale by owner property. I want what's best for my clients. I'm not interested in who is representing the seller, but it makes it difficult for me to book the showings. Multiple times I have attempted to book these showings, but because there is a different process, it does make it a little harder to get the people through your door.
So one of the questions that we get quite frequently, not just in response to Mitch's request for questions currently, but in general is, how is Kitchener-Waterloo going to deal with the perceived oversupply in condos? And it's a fascinating question for a variety of reasons, largely because we don't agree that it's true. And Mitch, do you have some thoughts on basically why that's the case?
The region has stated that we're expecting to see an extra, I think, between 100 to 150,000 new people into Kitchener-Waterloo over the next 15 years. If we think that we are only bringing new product into the market at a rate of about 1,000, 1,500 to 2,000 units a year, that is not even close to enough to meet the demand that we're seeing now and we're going to see for the next 5, 10, 15 years. So to think that when we see a new project, when we see a new development, whether it's condo, freehold, town, whatnot, the inventory is greatly needed. Our Kitchener-Waterloo, Cambridge is going to explode and the evolution is going to continue for years to come. And to just think that we're in an oversupply market is just, to me, is completely false.
Just one more thing to add to Mitch's comment. In the coming years, and we've seen it in the past few years, these condos are the way of the future. We are seeing more and more, whether they're empty nesters or the millennials, this is the way people want to live. Not that the suburbs are ever going to not be desirable, but as more buildings come up, there are going to be more amenities in the downtown core. People are going to love the freedom of not having to drive. People are going to love the ability to walk downstairs and have 10 or 15 restaurants at your fingertips. So there's going to be a shift towards this being everybody's ideal way to live.
The question of oversaturation also comes up sometimes from people that are considering a purchase, asking us if there's too much investment or too much speculation in the market. And what I find interesting about that is if you waited until you had a large group of people that needed a home and tried to build, you'd have people without homes. And what investment allows and what these condos being purchased and sold for delivery years down the road is investors can come in, they can help buildings get built, and that future Google engineer or city hall worker or doctor down the street may not be ready to purchase when a condo goes on pre-sale, but they're there to purchase it or to move into it as a rental when the building completes 4 or 5 years later. So it's important to have investment participation. That's how buildings get built. It helps the city stay ahead of the curve and have the necessary vacancies available for people when they're needed. And it's definitely not a case of over-speculation or oversaturation. It's a very symbiotic relationship between city growth, investors, and the people that we see eventually move into buildings 3 or 4 years after they're eventually created and constructed. We often get the question, when is the best time as an investor or an end user to buy a condo and compare a condo property to